I'm not prepared to have my 29-year record in the United States Senate decided by the Pennsylvania Republican primary electorate. Not prepared.
No, of course not, you whore. No. Prostitutes hate their Johns, and of course you hate the voter. You always have, because you're a lowlife of the lowest order. You're actually a definition. You are the true definition of the politician. Specter, you define the word politician, which is the world's oldest profession. A working girl is much higher than you are. At least she provides an honest service for the dollar. You provide nothing for anybody. And so soon you'll be stabbing the Democrats in the back unless they can give you, the Philadelphia lawyer, a few shekels to bail you out of something or other. I don't know how the man can live with himself, but then again, look, I'm not a politician. Here is a man who's in the last years of his life. Everyone knows he's dying of cancer. Everybody knows that. And why would a man who has so little time left on earth further degrade his own reputation is the question. And it's the bigger question to me. The first thought that came to my mind was that the Democrats have pictures of him and they blackmailed him. But then again, when you look at a prostitute like Specter, I don't think you need pictures of him with anybody to blackmail him. This guy is such a prostitute that it doesn't matter. I mean, he's the kind of guy who would have gone over to the British during the Revolutionary War if the British had offered him something. So what is it? What is the difference? The real nightmare here is that the dictator, Obama, will now have a supermajority to railroad the American people into a dictatorship. And I don't think you understand that Obama is not as popular as the media is making him out to be. New polls have come out, and they're, I would say, mainstream polls. I'm not a big poll believer, but according to Gallup's April survey, Barack's poll numbers are in the toilet. In fact, Americans have a lower approval of Hussein at this point than all but one president since Gallup began tracking this in 1969. Did you hear this? The only new president less popular than Hussein Obama was Bill Clinton, who got off to a bad start after trying to force homosexuals on the military in a federal raid in Waco, Texas, that killed 86 people. Obama's current approval rating of 56% is only 1 point higher than the 55% approval that Clinton had during those crises. So don't assume that the man is so popular. Yes, he's popular in inner cities. Yes, he's popular in ghettos. Yes, he's popular amongst government workers. Yes, he's popular amongst illegal aliens bringing in the flu. There's no question about it. But the fact of the matter is that the vermin in the media are not anxious to point out that their phony imposter is less popular than George W. Bush. The fact of the matter is, USA Today, which is a failed newspaper that loses money every day, keeps putting out propaganda, which is why they're going broke. And their April poll results they put out says public thinks highly of Obama. Newsweek says the secret of Obama's success. It is total BS. Now, the explanation, according to Gallup, for Obama's low approval is that he ran as a moderate, but is governed from the extreme far left. The self-deceiving press will not disclose this to you. On Sunday's Meet the Depressed, host David Gregory, whatever his real name is, we don't know, asked the panel about critics of who would say one of the things that he's done in 100 days already is expand the role of government to size it, blah, 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 blah. So the fact of the matter is none of the vermin in the media who elected this imposter is willing to admit that the Gallup poll shows that his numbers are in the toilet. But let's not waste our time talking about that. You want to talk about the flyover of New York? Do you think it was really a flyover? Do you want to talk about the prostitute Arlen Specter and how he helped a murderer skip bail? It's on michaelsavage.com. Print it out, send it out, shout it out. Print it out, shout it out, send it out. Print it out, send it out, shout it out. Chicago, Mark, go ahead. You're on the Savage Nation. What's on your mind?
Hi. So I hear that you call Senator Specter for compromising his values, and I was just wondering, how is he compromising his values by shifting to a party that more accurately represents his values?
Well, what values does he have? Getting murderers off bail? Is that his values?
I mean, yes, that is one situation where you've picked that. But no, I mean, he's a moderate. He's not a staunch conservative.
Why is it that when a Republican is a socialist, they're called a moderate? Is there such a thing as a moderate Democrat? I've not met one yet. Have you?
I know.
How come the word moderate never applies to a Democrat who votes the American way? Why is that? How come there's no phrase for a Democrat who votes for borders, language, and culture? What would they be called?
I don't know. I mean, I know some moderate Democrats. We don't have too many of them in Chicago, but they're out there.
Look, the fact of the matter is that Specter, you have to understand, has no value. Specter is a naked Machiavellian politician. He only shifted over because the primary polls were showing he was going to get beaten by John Toomey, who was running against him in the primary. That's all. He has no values. He's a prostitute.
Well, he's not.
How can you say he has values? What are his values?
You know, I'm not.
All right, take a walk. That's all. New York, WOR, Phil. What's on your mind?
Hi, how are you, Dr. Savage? I just want to make mention to yesterday's flyover by Air Force One. In my view, it could have been the president and his cohorts mocking 9/11 in Lower Manhattan.
They weren't mocking 9/11. I don't. Of all the theories I've read, that makes no sense at all.
Well, they're doing a flyover right over Ground Zero, and they're supposedly going to use that picture for their website. Why not use something else? Why are you going to use a hole in the ground?
Okay, I don't believe it was a flyover for 9/11. There are theories circulating right now that there was a rogue Air Force pilot who hijacked the plane to put out an SOS saying that the presidency has been hijacked by an imposter.
Well, that may be true, Dr. Savage, but why would...
Do you believe that the NYPD had been notified?
No, the NYPD was never notified of that.
Nobody was notified. Now, why in the world would why would any government official risk alienating an entire city and scaring them like this? Something's wrong with this. Something is wrong with the picture. I don't believe a word of the propaganda coming out, any more than I believe Janet Napolitano is containing the epidemic.
Do you think...
Thank you for the call. 1-800-449-8255, michaelsavage.com. Louisiana, Kevin, you're on the Savage Nation. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Dr. Dissident. I'm curious. I know Specter was one of the politicians who voted for the bailout and the stimulus, but there were 9,000 earmarks, of which 40% were Republicans. I'm trying to do the math and how that equates. How many of these earmarks were proposed by these three Republicans, or were there more than that?
Look, this guy has been a prostitute from the day he started in politics. And the fact of the matter is he pulled in tens of millions of dollars into his state in order to pay back the people who put him in power and keep him in power. So the reason he voted for the stimulus is it's more, the word is graft. In my day, it was called graft. I mean, pork barrel spending is a nice way of putting it, but it's plain and simple graft. The federal government is buying votes through the stimulus package. Plain and simple. This man received graft in the form of stimulus spending. I mean, how intelligent do you have to be to figure out that the man is a naked prostitute? That's all. He will be remembered as a prostitute, not as a man who voted his conscience. So Arlen Specter has been a prostitute from day one. He's known as that. Everyone knows him as that. What are you glorifying this prostitute for? A lady of the night is far more reputable than Arlen Specter. You get value for the money.
Savage.
Attention business owners. Are you tired of the big guys getting bailed out? With all the